Park is a small world because somehow, like I said, everyone knows someone. Oh, it's Friday night? Yeah, I'm gonna come out to the games. Going to my brother's game, every time we were going to get tickets, we'd see the same old couple. My mom one time asked, like, do you have any grandsons or nephews, nieces? They're like, no, we're just coming just to support them. And I was just like, what a cool feeling, you know? People who don't have any relation to the school, they just want to come support the hometown.
I expected it to be a good game. I didn't know it was going to be that good a game. It was something special. High school football at its best.
It was a great game. It was a fun game to play.
The butterflies kind of came in.
It was a classic. Biggest game of the year.
It's kind of like a movie.
It's a fascinating story to have somebody drive by with his wife in '54 and look at the field and say, you know, I'm going to build a city there.
When I moved here, it might have been 50 or 60 people living in Rohnert Park at the time.
There were 3 trees in all of Rohnert Park.
Very small community then.
3.
I went up to check out Rohnert Park Junior Senior High School. My wife Martha was with me, and I said, how do you pronounce that?
And he said, Mom, where's Rohnert Park?
Rohnert?
Where your Aunt Rose lived.
Rohnert?
He said, Mom, that's where the cows are.
Rohnert. Oh, Rohnert Park, okay.
She said, yes, they are.
I think it was a town that was built to raise your family and not built to necessarily be commercial.
You'd leave the house in the morning, you get on your bike with your baseball bat and your glove,
Put a dime in your shoe in case you had to use a phone booth.
and you go to the park, and the only time you came home was, it was dinner time.
Sports in this town at that time, from what I remember, was really big.
It seemed like everybody that could walk was coming out for football. I remember my first practice at Rohnert Park Junior Senior High School. You had no idea what was going to happen. So we all were pretty nervous, I think, going into the first little bit of practice as 9th and 10th graders.
It was a difficult task just getting ready to play because you hit the ground one time, you come up bloody.
But we had full contact out there in that open adobe, and it hurt worse hitting the ground than it did getting hit by the other player.
Ended up with some tough skin at the end of the season. Got scars everywhere.
Limited talent, and that's not in players, I'm talking about in coaching.
The thing I remember most about how Johnny was, if he'd get a little upset, he'd had a clipboard of plays, and that clipboard could end up anywhere. He might even boomerang the thing back to himself. But
Hal Janney, he was talking at a rally. And at the end of the rally, he said, okay, let's all stand up and spell out Cougar. And he went Couger.
Hal was a nice guy. I don't think Hal was a great football coach.
We affectionately knew him as Uncle Hal. I think he identified well with kids and loved football.
He's a good man. He's an honest man.
He was very good with kids.
He was a fun guy to coach.
Bill Garrett was a tremendous athlete.
One of the toughest, finest running backs I've ever seen in 45 years being associated with high school football.
He was a darter. I mean, just a cat. I mean, he was the real deal.
He never said, I can't. He said, I'll do it. He would do it when he was hurt. You had to be very careful with Bill because he'll go back in with 2 broken legs.
We got in a spread offense, basically double wides, and put Billy in the shotgun.
That was a goofy offense Janny had.
It took us a long time to really start thinking that we could win. We could beat teams larger than
In
us.
1967, we were undefeated 4-0. We had to jump into conference, and we lose a couple of conference games right away.
to Sonoma, El Molino, and then Healdsburg. We're down a little bit at that point for sure.
To secure a winning season, I think that was the game against Anley, and they had a great quarterback, great receiver, and we're definitely underdog going into that ball game.
Anley jumped ahead 13-0 on us, and it was, here we go again.
We've got things that aren't going well, in a game that things aren't supposed to go well. He just buckled.
Head coach is down. You're not sure what the outcome of that's going to be.
He had a heart attack that night.
And I didn't know whether he had died. I had no idea what had happened. And of course, the people gathered around him to help. And I was not privileged to that. I've got to coach the team now. So I'm trying to get the guys together so they're not looking over here.
The game stopped for a while, and they hauled him off in an ambulance. And
there was an emotional outpouring from the kids. The team just came together. It's a weird feeling. I still kind of get cold over it. But all of a sudden, they weren't 11 players. They weren't 22 players. They were a team.
We rose to the occasion and we rallied around our coach.
And we managed to make a few plays, and Merrill Graves made a nice interception, 70-some yards with an interception for a touchdown.
I remember waking up on the bench and the lights were just bright, like I had died, and the Lord was taking me or something.
There was a little bit of blood, and I laid there for a while and numb.
I went up for the ball, and my head went right up through his head, and his head hit mine, and we went down.
And I got a helmet up underneath on the chin, fit through the mouthpiece. Ended up later on finding out that I broke off 3 of the 4 teeth I had at the gum line.
I was gone. My dad led me into the locker room. He turned the shower on me, and it was cold. And then I chewed my dad out. I remember him getting mad at me, like, you don't talk to your father like this, right? Well, I didn't even know what I said.
I went out for a play, and then I was back in. And I'm not sure they'd let you do that. Now I think they're a little more cautious about how players get treated these days.
We barefootin'. We barefootin'. We barefootin'.
On that series, we ended up scoring, which put us ahead 20-19. And when they got the kickoff, it's just like they walked down the field on us.
Long tall Sally was out of sight. Threw away a wig.
Until they got down to about the 6-yard line or something. And our undersized defensive guys,
they managed to find holes in the line, and they would change positions to get the bigger man or the faster man in the hole.
They were small, but boy, they had heart.
This is crazy. I mean, these kids started coaching themselves.
We won the ball game that night. We might not have been a better team, but we won the ball game. And we want to look back on Uncle Hal and Coach Gianni. He was a player's coach, and we did. We stepped up for him.
But we really felt as though we showed them that we could stand up as a small school and play.
I knew they were good, because I knew all those guys. They had a bunch of crazy guys, a bunch of good athletes. They got along with each other.
I felt kind of a responsibility to, here's where I live. This is where I want to represent this school.
Hal was fitting for that era, for that time in life. You really had to get inside a kid to make them perform. Emotionally, you've got to be there. And you've got to be there for them during some really tough times, because they have some. I mean, they hurt when you don't. And you have to recognize this and balance it and treat them like a human being.
In that game, I was so worried. I thought we could either get blown out or we could compete.
By the end of the season, coaches would have said, look, if we can limit Paletti Gore and maybe limit Dworkin, then I think we feel okay about our chances.
I was just trying to soak it in.
I don't think I would be where I am without Poe. He was like my dad on the field.
There's no pretense to him at all. He's just a good person and purest, best option quarterback that we've had.
Poe was just like, to me, that cool kid. Like, wow, he's wearing those jeans. Maybe I should get jeans like that.
I moved here in 5th grade. As soon as I got on the team, I remember seeing Brian. I was like, oh, that's the fastest kid I've ever seen. Even growing up in Oakland, he was faster than most of the running backs out there.
2008 at Ukiah. 43 seconds left. Kaiser knows our plays. And Brian Dworkin, little sophomore, made this crazy play.
It was like 47 screen, I'm pretty sure. And every time we practice it, something would go wrong. Brian's just right past me, and then like as he goes up, he cuts. That was probably the craziest play in like ever.
It was one of the greatest moments. My wife, she never grew up with sports, never watched sports, never had like that Joe Montana or Steve Young moment where you just like, you don't know where the emotion comes from. It happened and we're all cheering and she's crying. She's like, now I know what you mean. And from that moment, she understood what sports can do.
The first step, that burst, probably surprised a lot of teams. I know for a fact, having talked to them, the Concord coaches knew exactly who they had to stop.
Touchdown, Ranger Patani. Brian Dworkin, 77-yard touchdown run.